Well, we have some pretty big news we want to tell everybody. Raven?
Come on, I said you.
You want to do the whole thing? Okay.
After years of rumors and internet whispers, Bear Brown is finally breaking his silence, and what he's revealing about the fake Alaskan bush people accusations is nothing like fans expected. Could the entire show have been a lie, or is Bear setting the record straight once and for all? For over a decade, Alaskan bush people has captivated audiences with its raw portrayal of the Brown family's off-grid lifestyle. Viewers were drawn to the rugged beauty of the Alaskan wilderness, the family's deep bond, and their struggles to survive away from modern society. But as the show gained massive popularity, so did the criticism and the accusations that much of what fans saw on screen wasn't real. Now, Bear Brown, one of the most recognizable and outspoken members of the Brown clan, is finally breaking his silence about those long-standing fake claims. After years of speculation and internet rumors, Bear is setting the record straight, and his comments reveal a very different side to the story. The origins of the fake accusations. When Alaskan Bush People premiered on Discovery Channel in 2014, it quickly became a hit. The idea of a family living entirely off the grid, hunting, building, and surviving without modern conveniences was a refreshing alternative to mainstream reality TV. But it didn't take long for critics to dig deeper. Online sleuths began to notice inconsistencies. Some fans claimed they'd seen the Browns shopping in nearby towns, staying in hotels, or using modern tools that didn't fit the show's bush narrative. Others questioned whether the family really lived in isolation, pointing to filming permits and sightings that suggested they were closer to civilization than viewers were led to believe. By 2015, the whispers had become full-blown accusations. Headlines accused the Browns of faking their lifestyle, and even former residents of Alaska spoke out, claiming that the family's homestead wasn't nearly as remote as Discovery made it seem. The controversy only grew when legal troubles hit the family that same year. Charges related to residency and state benefits added more fuel to the critics' fire. For years, the Browns stayed relatively quiet on the subject, choosing not to directly engage with the negativity. But now, after a decade of speculation and mounting frustration, Bear Brown has had enough. In a recent social media post followed by a candid live video, Bear addressed the fake rumors head-on. His tone was emotional but firm. "People have been saying for years that Alaskan Bush People is fake," Bear began. "They say we're actors, that we don't really live in the wild, or that we're lying about who we are. That couldn't be further from the truth. What you see on the show is our life. It may not show every single detail, but it's real." Bear went on to explain that reality television is, by nature, edited for storytelling. Scenes are condensed, events are filmed from different angles, and sometimes the family recreates moments that happened earlier so the cameras can capture them properly. "That doesn't mean it's fake," Bear clarified. "It just means there's a camera involved. We can't have someone filming us 24/7. Sometimes we have to redo something that really happened, just so people can see it. But the emotions, the struggles, the life we live, that's all 100% real." The pressure of fame and public scrutiny. The Brown family's fame came with a heavy price. As the show's popularity exploded, the Browns found themselves under constant public scrutiny. Their off-grid lifestyle was questioned, their relationships analyzed, and their every move criticized. Bear admitted that the backlash has often been painful. "We've been called liars, frauds, and worse," he said. "It's hard when you're just living your life and people think they know everything about you because of what they see on TV. What people forget is that we're human. We've lost family members. We've dealt with sickness, heartbreak, and tragedy, just like anyone else." He was, of course, referring in part to the loss of family patriarch Billy Brown in 2021, a devastating event that shook the entire family and their fan base. Bear said that the public reaction to his father's death was both heartwarming and heartbreaking. While many fans offered condolences, others took the opportunity to renew attacks on the show's authenticity. "That was one of the hardest times of my life," Bear recalled, "and to see people still calling everything fake, even then, it was rough. My dad gave everything for this family. He believed in what we were doing. We didn't pretend to live this life. We lived it." Bear also used his platform to shed light on what it's like to film a reality show in extreme conditions. "Filming isn't easy," he explained. "It's not like we're sitting around in a mansion with cameras rolling. We're in freezing weather, hiking through mud, cutting wood, and building stuff. The film crew goes through a lot too. They're out there with us, cold, wet, and tired. It's real work." Bear noted that production logistics sometimes force the family to adjust where or how they live. For instance, when filming moved from Alaska to Washington State in later seasons, the family had to rebuild their lifestyle in a new environment. People said we moved because it was fake. That's not true. We moved because of my mom's health, and because we wanted to keep filming somewhere we could still live close to nature, but be safer and more accessible for medical reasons. That's not fake. That's family. Despite the controversy, Alaskan Bush People still has a devoted fan base that passionately supports the Browns. Many longtime viewers have defended Bear's statements, agreeing that the show, while edited, reflects a genuine lifestyle that's simply been adapted for television. Anyone with common sense knows reality shows are edited. That doesn't mean it's fake.
You guys have inspired so many people to live more simply. Don't listen to the haters, Bear. Your family's journey helped me reconnect with nature, another added. That's as real as it gets. Even some critics admitted that Bear's honesty made them rethink their stance. The emotional depth in his voice, the visible frustration, and the sincerity of his words suggested a man who truly believes in his family's legacy. Bear's outburst didn't just reveal his frustration, it offered a rare glimpse into the personal toll fame has taken on him. Known for his energetic personality and his extreme lifestyle, Bear has always been one of the more animated Browns. But in recent years, he's faced major life changes: marriage, fatherhood, and public struggles with mental health and relationships. Bear and his wife Raven have had a highly publicized relationship marked by both joy and turbulence. Their on-again, off-again dynamic often drew online commentary, some of it cruel. Bear's recent statement seemed to be about more than defending the show. It was about reclaiming his family's truth and dignity. People forget that behind the cameras, there's real love, real pain, and real people, he said. We've been through a lot, but we've always stayed true to who we are. That's not fake. The debate over Alaskan Bush People's authenticity isn't unique. Many reality shows have faced similar accusations. But what makes this one different is the emotional connection between the Browns and their fans. The show isn't just about survival. It's about faith, resilience, and family unity. For Bear, defending that legacy isn't just about reputation. It's about honoring his father's dream. My dad believed in showing people a different way of life, Bear said. He wanted to inspire people to live free, to chase their dreams, and not to let society tell them how to live. That's what Alaskan Bush People was always about. With the series now off the air and the Browns living quieter lives in Washington, many fans wonder what's next. Bear hinted that he hasn't given up on sharing his family story, just maybe in a different way. The show may not be on TV right now, but the Browns spirit lives on, he said. We still live off the land, we still work hard, and we still stay true to our roots. I'd love to show more of that someday, maybe through social media or other projects. Bear's personal brand has indeed expanded beyond the show. He's active on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, where he shares glimpses of his life, family moments, and motivational messages. His fans often praise him for staying authentic, even amid the noise of celebrity life. The best thing about being a Brown, Bear said, smiling, is that we don't quit. No matter what people say, we just keep going. That's what makes us who we are. So, is Alaskan Bush People fake? The truth, as Bear explained, may not fit neatly into a yes or no answer. Like most reality TV, it's a mix of real life and television storytelling. Moments shaped by editing, but grounded in the family's genuine way of living. The Browns never claimed to be perfect, nor did they say they lived without help or modern tools. What they did claim, and what Bear insists remains true, is that their lifestyle, values, and challenges were authentic expressions of who they are. If showing our life helps even one person realize they can live differently, Bear said, then it's worth it. We never wanted to trick anyone. We just wanted to share our world. For Bear Brown, breaking his silence wasn't about winning over critics. It was about speaking his truth after years of misunderstanding. His message was clear. The Brown family's journey, however portrayed, was never about pretending. It was about survival, love, and faith. We're not actors. We're a family, Bear concluded. We laugh, we fight, we cry, and we live. That's the truth. As the dust settles on his comments, one thing seems certain. The Brown story, whether on screen or off, continues to resonate. Their path may not be as wild as it once was, but their resilience remains unshakable. Even years after the camera stopped rolling, Alaskan bush people still inspires conversation, and Bear Brown's emotional defense of his family might be the most authentic moment yet. When Bear Brown finally addressed the controversy surrounding Alaskan bush people, it didn't just make headlines, it reopened one of the biggest debates in reality television. For years, fans and critics have been divided on whether the show, which once captivated millions with its portrayal of off-grid family life, was as authentic as it appeared. But Bear's words, raw, emotional, and unfiltered, gave viewers a rare look inside what it's really like to live under the microscope of fame while being accused of fabricating your life's work. As more details emerge, the truth about the fake accusations seems far more complicated and more human than anyone ever realized. When Alaskan bush people debuted in 2014, it offered something television hadn't seen in years. The Browns were unlike any other reality family. No glitz, no luxury, just a group of people surviving in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Billy and Amy Brown, the parents, raised their 7 children to live off the land, hunt, build their own homes, and rely on one another. Audiences were fascinated. The Browns became symbols of freedom and resilience, living proof that life without modern technology was still possible. But as the seasons went on and the family's fame grew, so did the skepticism. It started with small things, viewers noticing power tools or spotting the family driving vehicles that weren't shown on camera. Then came bigger revelations, reports that the Browns spent time in town, and claims that some of their properties were closer to civilization than advertised. Still, despite the noise, the show remained a hit. Viewers tuned in not just for the wilderness adventures, but for the family spirit, the love, laughter, and resilience that made them so relatable, even from a distance. In his latest live video, Bear addressed these long-standing claims in greater depth than ever before. "You can't fake chopping wood in the snow or building your own shelter," he said.
You can't fake losing your dad or the moments we shared as a family. Those were all real. People think because we were on TV, everything was staged, but most of what we did wasn't planned at all. It was just our life. Bear went on to explain how editing sometimes distorted the family's day-to-day reality, not by fabricating events, but by simplifying complex situations for storytelling. A lot happens behind the scenes that viewers don't see, he said. We can't show everything. Sometimes we'll do something twice because the camera missed it. That's not fake, it's just part of making a TV show. Bear's frustration was evident. He described the constant criticism as draining, especially during times of personal hardship. People judge us without knowing what we've been through, he said. They see an hour of footage and think they know our lives. But we've lived this for years. We've faced storms, hunger, loss, you name it. It's real life, just not the kind people are used to. His voice cracked slightly as he mentioned his late father, Billy Brown. My dad believed in this dream. He wanted people to see that you don't need money or modern luxuries to be happy. We weren't pretending for TV. We were showing people that there's another way to live. Since Alaskan bush people went off the air, the Brown family has continued living a quieter version of their off-grid lifestyle in Washington state. But even without the cameras rolling, rumors about their authenticity persist. Bear acknowledged that fame has made it difficult for the family to live the way they once did. We're not as isolated as before, he admitted. After years of filming, people know who we are and where we are. But we still live by the same values, working hard, respecting nature, and staying close as a family. That hasn't changed. For Bear, being in the public eye has been a double-edged sword. On one hand, he's grateful for the fans who've supported the family. On the other, the constant spotlight has made personal struggles harder to bear. His relationship with Raven, his wife, has often been tabloid fodder, with breakups, reconciliations, and the pressures of parenthood all playing out under public scrutiny. But through it all, Bear has insisted that what people see on social media is real, just a fraction of a much bigger, more complicated life. To understand Bear's defense, it's important to understand how reality television works. Producers often capture hundreds of hours of footage, but only air a small percentage of it. Moments are rearranged, context is trimmed, and storylines are shaped to make episodes more engaging. Former crew members have occasionally hinted that while Alaskan Bush People was authentic in spirit, certain aspects were modified for television clarity. For example, conversations might be refilmed for better audio, or projects might be started again so cameras could capture progress. Sometimes we have to redo things because of camera issues or timing, but that doesn't mean it's fake. We really built those cabins, hunted those animals, and lived that life. The only difference is that there were cameras there. He also pushed back on claims that the family's move from Alaska to Washington meant abandoning their off-grid ideals. People said we sold out, but that move saved our mom's life, Bear said, referring to Amy Brown's battle with lung cancer. We had to be closer to doctors. That's not fake, that's love. Through all the controversy, one thing has remained constant for the Browns: their deep faith. Bear often references his belief in God and how it's helped him weather life's challenges. Faith is what keeps me going, he shared. When the world calls you fake, when they attack your family, you have to hold on to something bigger. For us, that's faith. The family's spiritual outlook was a cornerstone of Alaskan Bush People, woven into many episodes and life lessons. For fans, that authenticity, imperfect and human as it was, became the real heart of the show. Following Bear's emotional statement, fans quickly flooded his social media pages with support. "Bear, you don't know anyone an explanation. We know your family is real," one fan commented. "Ignore the trolls. The Browns taught us what family really means," another wrote. Even longtime critics admitted that Bear's vulnerability made them rethink their assumptions. His honesty, mixed with visible pain, showed that behind the wild persona was a man deeply protective of his family's legacy. Some fans even began a social media campaign urging Discovery to consider a Brown family revisited documentary, one that would show the family's life post-series without heavy editing, allowing viewers to see their world in raw, unfiltered form. The debate around the realness of Alaskan Bush People opens a larger conversation about reality TV as a whole. Experts in media production note that nearly every unscripted show blends truth with storytelling. The term fake often comes from a misunderstanding of how television works. Authentic moments can still be edited to fit a narrative. What's important is whether the people on screen are genuinely living the experiences portrayed, and in the Browns' case, much of that appears to be true. Bear's comments highlight that distinction perfectly. For him, the Browns' life wasn't about acting, it was about surviving. Even after losing their patriarch, the Brown family continues to embody the spirit that made them famous. Bear, along with his siblings Gabe, Noah, and Bird, remain active in sharing glimpses of their lives through social media. They still build, hunt, and live close to nature, even if not as remotely as before. "Dad always said, 'Never give up,'" Bear reflected. "And we haven't. We've lost so much, but we've gained perspective. The wilderness may look different now, but our hearts are the same." The family's resilience has inspired millions of fans to embrace simpler living, appreciate nature, and prioritize family. After years of being labeled as fake, Bear's message to his critics is simple: look beyond the edits, beyond the cameras, and see the people behind the screen. We're not perfect, we never claimed to be, but everything we showed came from real emotions, real work, and real family. That's the truth. Believe it or don't, but that's who we are. He ended his statement with a heartfelt tribute to his father. "Dad used to say, 'The bush isn't just a place, it's a way of life.' That's something you can't fake." As the dust settles from Bear's emotional confession, the legacy of Alaskan Bush People remains intact, imperfect, controversial, but undeniably influential. The Browns may never fully escape the fake label that haunts most reality TV stars, but Bear's defense of his family paints a more nuanced picture. For them, authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about intention. Whether in Alaska or Washington, on camera or off, the Browns have lived by the same principles: faith, family, and freedom. And for Bear, that's as real as it gets. At the end of the day, Bear concluded, you can call it what you want. But for us, it's not a show, it's our life. and we're proud of it.